Hello, everybody. My name is M Ashikur Rahman, and today I'll be talking about how my research informs my teaching of CSR. Also, I'll be talking about myself, my experience, and expertise in teaching. So, welcome to this 10-minute presentation. Let me begin with talking about myself, my expertise, and skills in teaching. So I have many years experience of teaching at the higher education level, and I have a track record of providing highest standard tuitions to the students. My broad understanding of effective approaches to teaching and learning support has been recognized by Advanced HE in the UK. The organization awarded me with the Associate Fellowship. At the moment, I'm in the process of applying for the fellowship as well. So, one of my main objectives as an academic is to enable my students to achieve their academic goals and also to encourage them to work hard and lay down the foundations of a bright and successful future for them. I believe a good lecturer is someone who has immense passion for the subject and someone who can use creative and innovative methods of teaching that are designed to maintain the optimum level of attention in the class. And also someone who ties in the teaching with the educational goals of the university. Uh, uh, from the same mindset, I have been working for the University of Leicester as a teaching fellow. And from that capacity, I have taught a wide range of modules, and many of those modules have a direct or indirect connections to CSR. To mention particularly, in this semester, I'm teaching this module called Contemporary Issues in Business and Management, which has a CSR focus, and a significant part of my lectures has been borrowed from my PhD thesis. And I'll be talking more about this in the second part of this presentation. My experience at Leicester has been very rewarding. It has provided me with the opportunity to have practical understanding of what teaching is like at the higher education level in the UK. And also, it has provided me with the skills and expertise to deal with a different kind of learning contents for various modules. And also, it has provided me the opportunity to deal with the technology and the administrative processes around teaching and learning. Based on my experience as a teaching fellow, the knowledge I have of my subject matter, and also the ability that I have to deliver the outcomes based on the curriculum, I feel that you'll be very satisfied with the results that I produce if you hire me as one of your lecturers. So now let me talk about how my research informs my teaching of CSR. So, terms such as research-based teaching or research-informed teaching and similar terms have been widely and actively deployed by many universities in order to highlight the distinctive forms of teaching and learning available in these institutions. However, it is not always clear what these terms actually mean. There are a number of different ways in which teaching activities and research activities can be interrelated. And I'd like to focus on these academic issues while talking about my approach to teaching research interconnection. Now, as an academic, I recognize this complexity about how research can inform teaching. One source of complexity is that in the higher education setting, research involves a variety of forms of knowledge production. Some forms may go beyond the dominant academic culture. Also, the other side of the relationship, i.e., teaching, is subject to a range of different meanings as well. So, according to one conception, for example, the teaching is essentially a process of information transmission, which is a teacher based and syllabus content driven model. And this is closely associated with traditional lecture based pedagogies. A quite different conception is to see how teaching is a process of helping students to learn. And in this process, learning is actively uh, uh, integrated or uh, learning, the learner is necessarily plays active part in the construction or reconstruction of their existing pattern of understanding. It is more associated with the student focused and inquiry based pedagogies. A further aspect of the complexity is that there are different processes through which we can put these research and teaching activities together. Much of the existing research has focused on whether the most productive and accomplished researchers are also the most effective teachers. And these so-called correlation studies have tended to be inconclusive and incomplete. The main limitations of these research is that they have done very little to reveal the different types of mechanisms through which teaching might draw on staff research, and reciprocally, research might benefit from the teaching as well. So at this point, it is crucial to talk about the different characteristics of the relationship between teaching and research. And there are different characteristics can be identified. First, research-teaching relationship can be specific in forms or more diffuse or indirect in character. The specific form occurs when particular research projects that academic staff have worked on are incorporated into the teaching activities. Much of the time, however, the research-teaching relationship is more diffuse and indirect. For my case, my approach to teaching research relationship is characterized by both specific and diffuse nature of it. As I mentioned earlier, currently I'm teaching contemporary issues in business and management module, where I designed and delivered two of the lectures exclusively drawing on my PhD thesis. So my thesis is about how traditional CSR has been in the process of transformation towards political CSR in the last couple of decades. So naturally, I have incorporated findings from my thesis about how political CSR is at play in the global RMG supply chain, and how this new pattern of CSR is challenged by the local political context. So a direct reference of my research makes the relationship very specific. On the other hand, my scholarly engagement in the areas of CSR research enriches my teaching process, as now I have got a very good understanding about the theoretical aspects and practical aspects of CSR. So I can offer a fine blend of theoretical and practical aspects of CSR to the students. So in this way, my research informs my teaching indirectly as well. So both directly and indirectly, my research activities have genuinely informed my teaching of CSR. Second characteristics of the teaching research relationship is that the research can be weakly embedded into the research activities, or it can be more strongly integrated. The weak integration occurs, for example, when staff research is referred to in the lectures, or research outputs are included in reading materials. So in these cases, the research is presented as information content, as materials to be transmitted alongside other scholarships and materials. In contrast, where research is more strongly integrated, it is used deliberately to shape the learning activities of the students. Instead of being um, simply an item of information, the teacher's scholarly activities become a structural element in the learning process for students. So students themselves are engaged in that process of scholarship. Um, which would be called the strong integration of research. But in my case, my research, I would say, is weakly embedded in the teaching activities, as I have not directly engaged my students in any of the phases of my research, like in data collection or data analysis, or other phases. However, I have asked my students in the seminars and lectures to do their own research and to come up with their ideas about my research, whether they agree with me on my findings. And so this process has been very, very helpful for me as well to, you know, have some sort of triangulation and to have their immediate feedback on my findings. So it's been a reciprocal process in a way, I would say. So this is how I kind of try to integrate my research into my teaching. So I have tried to explain how my research activities inform my teaching of CSR in this short presentation. Um, uh, so that's all from me today. Thank you very much for listening.